Here's a lesson to you fellas out there. Go get yourself a picture with Taylor Swift. Much harder to do now. Or just find the next Taylor Swift, get a picture while they're still accessible, and then ride that into Valhalla.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to the show, people. Welcome to the show.
Eat my shorts.
So here is to conversation.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Welcome to the Cash Exchange.
Welcome.
How's it going?
Good. My allergies have been on a massive tear since it's still 70 degrees in January, but other than that, I'm killing it.
Yeah, you been sniffing some trees?
I am in hill country, so there are, fortunately and unfortunately right now, a lot of trees around me.
Well, you take the good, you take the bad. And then the facts of life is what I've
Never
heard.
seen it.
You've never seen the facts of
my time.
life?
No.
Mrs. Garrett and Trudy and Joe and Blair.
Sure. Keep naming people at me. Miss Garrett rings a bell, but I've still not seen the show.
Miss
You can tell
Garrett
me anything about
had
the plot of
a
it. I believe you.
resurgence in the original or second season of Family Guy.
She's mentioned every once in a while.
Yeah.
She's the girl's,
Like the house mom.
I forget what it is.
Like the house mom.
Oh, okay.
But it's not a sorority. It's a boarding school, maybe?
Oh,
Boarding house?
okay.
I don't know. Something like that.
I assumed it was like a family sitcom thing.
No, it's a bunch of girls that aren't related, and then Miss Garrett watches over all of them.
Okay. Might be
The more
worth
you know
checking out. The
about
more you know.
70s, 80s sitcoms.
Was it 70s or 80s? I thought it was way more recent than that. I thought it was like a 90s thing.
No, it was 70s or 80s. Let's find out. August 24th, 1979 to May 7th, 1988. Boom.
Oh,
Nailed
wow.
it on both
It lasted
fronts.
a long time.
You want to hear a story real quick of a total douche canoe that I ran into?
On a scale of 1 to knocked over your ladder in Boston, how big of a douche canoe are we talking?
It's not that egregious. It's
Okay.
maybe halfway between knocking over the ladder and just being a completely pleasant person to be around.
Okay.
So, picture this. Park. Beautiful sunny Saturday morning. I'm there with my youngest. She wants to get on the swings. She's on the swing. She wants me to push her. I push her. She says, "Can you push me higher?" And I said, No. You asked me if I can take you higher. She said, "I don't know what that means." And I said, "You just got to say, 'Can you take me higher?'" I said, "It's from a song." She said, "What song?" I said, "From one of the greatest bands of all time, Creed." She said, "Can I hear it?" And I said, "You know what? You sure can, my little dumpling, my little pudding pop." So she's sitting on a swing. She's in one of those ones that has like it's like a pod and it has little shoulder restraints that come
Oh, what?
over and it clicks in. It's
Oh,
like for special kids that maybe can't
Sure.
swing on their own, can't stay in the seat on their own. But it's not one of the baby ones that probably 2 years ago I put her in and then we almost had to call the fire department because I couldn't get her out. It's not one of those. But she's listening to it and she has lyrics on and she's listening to Creed, living her best life. I'm pushing her, and then every time she hears the words, "Can you take me higher?" she sings, "Can you take me higher?" and I push her. She listens to the song like 3 times through. We're having a gay old time. And then this smaller girl asks her dad if he can put her in the swing next to mine. He lifts her up there and puts the little, locks her in, the little shoulder straps on her. And she looks over at mine and says, "Can I watch the phone like she is?" Which, okay, sure, I get it. It looks like I'm just trying to babysit with the phone. Like, fine,
Yeah.
I understand that. And so he's huffing and puffing while he's trying to find something for her to watch on his phone. And she's like, Can I watch a phone? Can I watch a phone? Can I watch a phone? And he gives it to her. And mine is still living her best life. She's on like the 6th go around of higher. And then I'm assuming it's the dad's mom, kid's grandma comes over and says, "Oh, does she really need a phone right now?" And the guy at full volume says, "Yeah, this guy over here just has his daughter with the phone while she's swinging, so whatever, has to have it too." And first off, don't go blaming a complete stranger because you cannot tell your daughter no.
Yeah.
If I were in that situation and I did not want them to have my phone, I would say, "No, you'll be fine. Enjoy the park." He didn't ask for any circumstances or the reason why she has a phone on the swing, because then almost immediately after, she goes to hand it to me and throws it right into the woodchucks. Wood chunks. Chunks of wood.
Right into the woodchucks.
And I'm like, come on, man. What are you doing? It's too early for this. Don't be a douche. At least say it under your breath or say, "I'll tell you about it later," or anything like that. Not at full volume. Just so the entire park can know that you're a big old a-hole.
The internet was a bad invention. I know I say it pretty often, but I think that it has ruined how we behave as human beings.
I completely agree. I'm surprised there wasn't a third person just off in the background videotaping me letting her have the phone on the swing. And then I become
Gonna get doxxed for Creed.
I mean, there's worse ways to go, but
Sure.
it definitely wouldn't be my first choice. But to the random dad at the park on the swings, screw you. And now we can get on to today's episode. All right, you ready for your 3 things?
What are they? Let me know.
All right, your 3 things for this episode are Brian, Jim, and Amy.
Brian, Jim, and Amy.
Brian with an I, if that matters.
Jim with an I?
Jim
That
with
one
an I.
matters.
Yes, if that'll help. Amy with a Y, though.
These are all the stock characters in a corporate training manual. This is how they teach you about sexual harassment in the workplace.
Who's who? Is Amy the victim or the HR rep?
Brian said something offensive to Amy, and Jim's not technically guilty, but he was there for it and he didn't say anything, so he's, I think, guilty by proxy.
That is a great guess. And if we had true equality, Amy would be the one saying something offensive to Brian. And
Yep.
Jim would have to step in and support his fellow male. But no.
I haven't done a lot of corporate training modules and things because restaurants typically don't particularly care what you say, but
Or do with each other's bodies. On
Sure.
or off the clock.
that is a true statement, yeah. But the corporate stuff that I have learned is not very nuanced. They don't give a lot of women being the harassers in this situation kind of training. It
Yeah.
it all comes like straight out of the 80s. They are all one acting choice away from calling the girl toots.
Wait, Toots? Or
I said what I said.
no, you are so close though. So close. By way of these people are part of a collective.
Okay.
If your three things had been Janice, Kurt, and Amy, would that have been any easier for you?
Janice, Kurt, and Amy are a part of the same collective.
All six of these
I think that was 5.
main people that we're talking about today are part of the same collective.
They are members of the 27 Club.
Members of the 27 Club. How much knowledge do you have of the 27 Club?
I know. I think it's kind of unfortunate, but I know more about these people in their connection to the 27 Club than I know about a lot of their lives.
Yeah.
Like a lot of their legacies are kind of tied into having met tragic ends than what they did in their time. Not that they're not all incredible musicians, but it's definitely, I think, one of the big things that people remember about them.
Yeah, I want to preface this whole episode with focusing on the reasons why they're in the 27 Club, uh, the things that led them there, but that doesn't diminish their status as musicians or everything they accomplished in that realm. But it is strange that almost every list you see, the 27 Club is all musicians. Like they make that distinction, and I'm not sure why.
There are a couple of other ones that got added in uh, that are not necessarily musicians. Um, Jean-Michel Basquiat was one of them. He was a traditional media artist. You have, I believe,
What's a
Anton
traditional
Yelchin. He was a
media
painter,
artist? Oh,
more or less. Um, Anton Yelchin was one. There's also, I'm definitely forgetting a couple.
do you think it has anything to do with like the whole tortured poet motif?
I do think a lot of it is that kind of idea. These people were in an industry that preyed on people with substance and addiction issues. And on top of that, they were people who were not necessarily the most mentally stable because you have to tap into some kind of deeper emotions that are a lot more volatile to be as great as Kurt Cobain and Amy Winehouse.
Yeah.
I do think it's really interesting though the kind of connection that they make to like the devil at the crossroads as being a part of like the 27 Club.
Like having to sell your soul for the honor of being celebrated, but only for a short time.
'Cause, I mean the original member of the 27 Club was a blues artist from what?
I might have something to say about that a little later.
Okay. Do you want to get into it later?
We can get into it now.
One of the alleged first members of the 27 Club was a man named Robert Johnson, who was one of the originators of blues, from what I understand. And
The
his
Delta
death,
Blues.
his death from possible poisoning was marked as a possible deal with the devil. That he made a deal at the crossroads. He was going to be one of the greatest guitarists ever known. And then he was going to meet his end incredibly early because he had sold his soul.
Well, anecdotally, the mythos behind him was that he had been playing around clubs and doing these real tiny nothing shows, and that he wasn't very good, and that he needed to pick a different profession. And then he decides to take a hiatus, goes away for a little bit, comes back, and then is a master of his craft, and all of a sudden is touted as one of the greatest blues musicians of all time.
Do you think he sold his soul? Do you think there was some foul play involved?
Uh, I think that a lot of his a lot of his talent previous was maybe downplayed to amplify the story.
Okay.
And do I think that he literally met El Diablo at the corner at the intersection of two roads? No. Do I think that he metaphorically sold his soul? Probably. And that ended up taking his life. But the reason that I had something to say about this later in the episode was because there is no concrete birth year for Robert Johnson.
Really?
No one can verify his uh, birth date. No one's found a birth certificate or anything for him. And so when this really got started off, it was Kurt Cobain in 1994 that really solidified all this. And then they started going back and trying to find, well, maybe there was a pattern before this. And then that's when you get to Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin, who died the same year at 27. You go back a little farther back to Brian Jones, one of the founding members of the Rolling Stones. He died at 27. And then you go farther back and then say, oh, well, there's Robert Johnson and he's got this cool story attached to him. He might have been 27. We can't prove that he wasn't. And so that's how he got tied to the 27 Club. And then everyone just came to the general consensus that, yeah, he was 27. But there's no concrete evidence that he was.
I remember seeing that he had his birth date was in 1911. I wonder where that came from.
I don't know. But there's multiple sources that I saw that said that it's a big old fabrication.
Okay. Giant hoax.
But let's start from the certified 27 clubbers. Brian Jones. Do you know anything about Brian Jones?
I don't. I listened to the Rolling Stones pretty sparingly. I don't think I've ever really thought about any of their individual pieces.
That's not your niece.
That's not my niece.
Well, he was a founding member of the Rolling Stones back before they were I guess just rock, but not really heavy rock. They're definitely not metal. They're not glam rock. I guess just rock. I don't know. But this was before they made that transition. They were like a blues band out of England. And it was him, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, one more person that I'm blanking on. But he was talented. He played guitar, he played harmonica, sitar, marimba, and a whole bunch of other instruments. He was very influential in their original sound before Mick and Keith ultimately just started being the two members of Rolling Stones. He struggled with drug abuse, legal problems, and when Mick and Keith took over, he had less and less influence over the direction of the band. He started becoming unreliable. He wouldn't show up to sets. He wouldn't come to rehearsals. He wouldn't just be an actual functioning member of the band or society, really. The drugs started taking a heavy toll on his health, and his legal troubles were almost completely drug-related. In 1967, he was arrested in England and charged with possession of cannabis, amphetamines, and cocaine after the police raided his house. I can't imagine And maybe it was different back then, and they had a much harder stance on drugs. But I can't imagine the police raiding your house for those kind of charges,
Yeah.
like kidnapping, murder, grand larceny, maybe. But he wasn't charged with like enough to say that he was like distributing or that he was manufacturing, or it's just possession. And that caused a full on police raid on his house.
I mean, I think that in that case, you can, given the timeline, probably point to other theoretical charges. Like during the U.S. like hippie movement, you could say that if a person had marijuana in their house, that they were conspiring against the government and things like that. Like it was a lot more of an opportunity to reach at that point.
That's fair. That's fair. He was convicted and sentenced. He was fined, placed on probation, and avoided prison. But the bobbies, as they're, I don't know if they're still referred to that in England, but them were keeping a closer eye on him. Next year, in 1968, he was arrested again for cannabis possession. This guy just doesn't learn. Does not
Rock stars never
learn.
do.
And that reinforced his reputation as being unreliable and being a legal vulnerability to
Yeah.
everyone around him, including this band that was trying to make it big. Because of these convictions, he was denied a U.S. visa. And you know what you need to have in order to make it big in the music industry? A U.S. visa that allows you to tour the country with your band, the Rolling Stones. And so, in 1969, that was one of the major reasons that solidified their decision to give him Das Boot, was because they couldn't tour in the United States with him because he couldn't get a visa because of his criminal history. And after his release, just weeks later, on July 3rd in 1969, he was found deceased, face down in his pool. And it was ruled an accidental drowning. He had plenty of drugs in his system and was one of the definitive founders of the 27 Club.
It's interesting, but I don't know that there's any really hard and fast rules when it comes to who would qualify for the 27 Club. But it's interesting that he would have been kicked out of the band before he passed. So theoretically, like his time in the industry would have been cut short regardless, even if
Yeah.
not by death.
Yeah, that's a running theme with these, especially the ones that are part of a group, like Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison went off the deep end and ended up running off to Paris in order to avoid all the legal situations that he had found himself in here. And so he wasn't an active member of the Doors by that point because he was just all over the place.
Even still, I feel like Brian Jones wasn't a
He
part of
wasn't-
it when it was big.
When you think of the
didn't
Rolling
really have that
Stones, you
level
don't
of-
think of Brian Jones.
You only
When you
ever
think of the
of
Rolling Stones and you
Johnson.
think of Brian
Yeah.
Jones, you think of the fact that he was kicked out and he drowned in his own pool. So I get your point. And maybe it is a case of the Robert Johnson thing, but just this one has a little more teeth to it because he was verified to be 27. So maybe they wanted to go a little farther back, and then they was like, well, he's 27. So I don't know. What about Jimi Hendrix?
I also don't know a ton about his like personal life. I do know that he's one of the greatest guitarists to have ever been.
That is correct. That is one of the things that he is known for.
But I don't know a great deal about him.
Do you know he was born in Seattle, but then didn't really get his popularity until he moved to London and founded the Jimi Hendrix Experience? I think that's a bold move. It's a bold move to tell people that your entire existence is an experience.
He's right. It
And
was.
You take enough illicit things, listen to some Jimi Hendrix, you're going to have quite the experience. This is where we start getting a lot of distortion in music, a lot of intentional feedback, and just ridiculously long solos. That you're like halfway through and you forget what song it's a solo for, kind of thing.
Okay. Fair enough.
So he was one of the ones that popularized that.
How many people were in the Jimi Hendrix Experience? Or was he
Yes.
just like,
Yes.
yes? All of
Yes.
them?
They're
All of the people?
all of the people. Let's find out.
Was I a part of the Jimi Hendrix Experience?
Yes. 3. It was Jimmy with a fro, and then 2 white guys with some heavy perms.
Do you think that was a qualifier to be a part of the Jimi Hendrix Experience? Was you have to?
Yeah, I think it that had to be that and marching band jackets for some reason.
I do believe that was also one of the qualifiers for being a big name was you had to have the Sergeant Pepper jackets.
And that's definitely what they're rocking here. But some of Jimmy Jim's most famous events. I don't know why I keep blanking today. Good Lord. Monterey Pop Festival in 1967 was his U.S. breakthrough. That's where he set his guitar on fire after a huge solo and instantly became like a rock god.
Reasonably.
The same event where Janis Joplin hit it big, and we'll talk about her a little later.
What if that was the actual cursed event? There's just like specific music festivals that condemn you.
Could be. Woodstock's on here, but I think Woodstock '99 is more the cursed one than the original.
That is fair.
Purple Haze was released in 1967. It was a single that has been reported or touted as like the one that changed rock music just because of how feedback heavy, how fuzzy, how like kind of chaotic it all was, and started to shift that way into more things like heavy metal or why do I keep blanking? More like a heavier sound.
Yeah.
That led to stuff like heavy metal, like your Metallicas, your later on your Slipknots, your all that kind of stuff. Woodstock '99, or good Lord, Woodstock's 1969. Nice. Is where he had his famous national anthem performance that was like 7-8 minutes long. And it's probably one of the most mimicked renditions of the national anthem. Like if you have someone on an electric guitar playing the national anthem, that's the version that they're trying to copy, is the Jimi Hendrix one.
The most copied national anthem isn't Fergie's.
Mm.
I think it's up there. I've heard a lot of things that sound like Fergie.
I think that's unintentionally copying the. I think if you're trying to
Fair
do the
enough.
Jimmy national anthem, it's fully intentioned. But if you're trying to copy Fergie Ferg, it is completely accidental, and it will probably not have a great effect on your career. 1967, Are You Experienced was their first album.
Okay.
Again,
I don't like
really,
that.
really feeding into the Jimmy ego.
Have you experienced me yet is a horrifying concept.
1970, he opened his own recording studio in New York. And also in 1970, the Isle of Wight Festival was one of his last performances, but also people started to notice the toll that everything was taking on him. So I mean, from his first major single, Purple Haze, to his death is a 3-year span. And people still talk about Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. I think that kind of ties into one of the big factors behind people being in the 27 Club. It's that your prefrontal cortex is fully developed at like 26, somewhere between 25 and 27. If in the most pivotal years of your 20s, you get elevated from just being a dude that plays guitar to the Jimi Hendrix Experience, and you become a rock god in that small of a window, I don't think your brain could possibly keep up with that.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's unfortunately kind of the natural progression of things. Because if you get that level of self realization, then you know that it's going to fall apart around you. Or you think that you can only go higher and you have to push yourself to limits that you couldn't possibly achieve. And you end up face down in the pool.
I am 33 currently. And I don't think my brain could handle me being able to legitimately ask people if they have experienced me.
I mean, the artist bravado is also an entirely different beast. You have to put yourself above the kind of pushback that you're going to get. And the only way you can do that is by being just hilariously out of touch. Because sometimes you're Jimi Hendrix and you are actually asking people if they've experienced you because it is an experience. And sometimes you are just that dude that's standing on the corner a couple blocks away from me playing a ukulele.
Jimmy was found unconscious and unresponsive, but breathing in his apartment in London, taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. It was determined that he had suffocated by choking on his own spew, which seems like a hell of a way to go. Not
Yeah.
fun.
Wouldn't imagine.
What is your knowledge of Janis Joplin?
I've listened to more Janis Joplin, I think, than Jimi Hendrix, less than the Rolling Stones. So somewhere in the middle.
She was an American singer who had a very distinct voice, very raspy, very worn, even though she was barely an adult whenever she hit it big. She was born in Port Arthur, Texas. And if you go down there, there is an unbelievable amount of tributes to her because it is their claim to fame is that Janis Joplin is from Port Arthur. She did not have a great experience growing up, which is a common theme with a lot of these. I would say probably all of these people, but if not all, then a majority of them ended up hitchhiking to San Francisco, where she joined Big Brother and the Holding Company. Her music is real heavy, bluesy, and folky, and very, I mean, I don't think it was distinct for the time because I think there was a lot of similar acts like her at the time. But I think that she is one of the ones that was propelled beyond that, so much so that she still has radio play on a broader range of stations than most of the other contemporaries of her.
I could see that.
Because like you can go and flip through your stations and you could hear Me and Bobby McGee, which is a good song. It's a really good song.
Yeah.
Peace in My Heart. You know that song?
I'm sure I've heard it, but I can't remember.
Piece of my heart now,
Yeah.
baby. Yeah, that was Janis. And I think she ended up having 3 albums before she died. Like Jimi Hendrix, her big U.S. debut was the Monterey Pop Festival in 1967. She had been battling addiction pretty much her entire life. She did not take the fame well. She became codependent on not just the drugs and alcohol, but also on the people around her. And from what I've seen, she would kind of love bomb and then overstay her welcome. And whenever those people decided that they just needed a little space, she would take that very personally, and it would throw her deeper into her depression, her anxiety, her substance abuse issues. She died of a heroin overdose on October 4th, 1970 at 27. She was found at the Landmark Motor Hotel in LA. Do you know what the difference between a motel and a hotel is?
It's amenities, right? It'd be like continental breakfast and a pool and things.
Well, did you know that a motel is a portmanteau?
A what?
Portmanteau? Do you not know what a portmanteau is?
I-
It's
I've
where you
heard the
put
word.
two
I
words.
just don't know what it.
That's where you put two words together, mash them together, and make one word.
It's a motor hotel.
Motor hotel. Because a motel, you can drive up to your room. A hotel is a
Huh.
centralized building that you have to walk through a lobby to get to your room.
Interesting. Okay.
And so I think it's interesting that this is called the Landmark Motor Hotel in LA, because I guess this is before we started calling them motels. She was found with change in one hand and a new pack of cigarettes in the other. She just walked out and bought a pack of cigarettes and came back to her room and collapsed on her bed, and that is where she was found. Bottles and syringes were all over the room, but no drugs, supposedly.
Interesting.
All suspicious. She was found by her manager when she was late for a recording session. So I'm sure the manager did a little sprucing up before he called the authorities.
Wouldn't you also clean up the syringes and other paraphernalia if you're going to try to clean up the image by taking away the drugs? Wouldn't
Maybe.
this be an all or nothing kind of situation?
Maybe he didn't have enough time.
Sure.
Or maybe he was like, well, they're going to confiscate this if I don't grab it now. So only thing he was interested in was drugs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the Val Kilmer led The Doors
I've seen
biopic?
bits of it, but I've never watched the whole movie. I've also
Biopic?
this is
Biopic.
not relevant, but I've watched the Family Guy take on The Doors.
I've never seen it either, but I've heard that it's like the greatest biopic. And also it started the trend of musical biopics.
Yeah.
So maybe it deserves a little hate for that.
I mean, yeah, no, that's fair. I don't think I've seen a well executed biopic in a while. Granted, I haven't watched the two newer ones, Springsteen and Dylan.
Better Man? Is that the monkey one?
Yes, Better Man is the monkey one, and I will not be watching that. Namely, because I still have no idea who Robbie
Williams
is. I will say I confuse the Doors movie pretty frequently with The Dirt. Every time it's brought up, I know those are two vastly different movies, but I always think of them as one and the same.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen either. But to my understanding, there is no snorting of ants in the Doors biopic
I don't believe so.
versus The Dirt.
I do recommend watching The Dirt. It is a pretty interesting movie.
That whole crew, that whole motley crew of people, just seem like very, very dirty human beings,
Sure.
physically and spiritually. You know,
Sure. I think that most of the people that we have discussed or will discuss are a little spiritually dirty.
I always get Led Zeppelin and the Doors confused.
Really?
Yeah, like when I hear Stairway to Heaven, I know it's Led Zeppelin, but I can never remember if Jim Morrison was in the Doors or Led Zeppelin. I think Led Zeppelin had a lot more staying power.
Yeah.
And I think that it also had to do with like all the cool kids my age growing up either had a Doors poster or Led Zeppelin poster. And so they were pretty interchangeable.
That's fair. Just the one picture that everyone has seen of Jim Morrison where he's just like super emaciated.
Yeah. But no, if you listen to the Doors and then you listen to Led Zeppelin, they're completely different sounds. The Doors are a lot more moody, more reserved.
Sure.
Stairway to Heaven is a fantastic song.
It's a great song.
So good that it's banned at Guitar Center.
As it should be.
Did you know that Jim Morrison was born in Melbourne,
I did not.
Florida?
I should have waited for the end of that sentence. That's on me.
And he studied film and literature, as every good poet does, before co-founding the Doors in LA in 1965.
Interesting.
They achieved pretty pretty rapid. They were noticed
They were
pretty
good.
early on, and their popularity rose rapidly, is what I meant to say. With Light My Fire,
Yeah.
Break On Through, Riders on the Storm, which is a great song. I like Riders on the Storm.
Those are all pretty great songs.
It was a mix of like rock, blues, and of course the psychedelic silliness of the late 60s, early 70s.
People Are Strange, I think, is my favorite song of theirs.
That is the one I hear the most because every year around the end of September, we break out the Halloween music, Apple Music playlist. And that's one of them.
That's interesting. I think it's been equated with enough like movies that that's probably why it has so much staying power in my brain. It's like used in not necessarily the Joker, but like Joker-esque movies. I feel like it gets used in soundtracks a lot.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. Morrison, so he formed the Doors in 1965. Like I said, they had a pretty meteoric rise early on.
Mhm.
And boy, did it go to his head.
I blame the leather pants.
It's probably has something to do with it. You have to feel a certain way about yourself to rock leather pants in any kind of seriousness, I think. You won't see me on the town in leather pants.
All the blood flow had to go somewhere, and so he got a big head.
Yep. He was no stranger to legal issues.
They never are.
In 1969, he picked up a obscenity charge in Miami.
What does that look like? What'd he do?
He was arrested and charged with indecent exposure,
Okay.
lewd and lascivious behavior. Can you be charged with just lewd behavior or just lascivious behavior? Or does it have to be lewd and lascivious?
I don't know what lascivious means either.
Nah, I don't either. Profanity and public drunkenness following a chaotic concert in Miami at a place that was torn down in 2013. Piece of rock history, just rubble. Now it's probably like a housing development.
Just very expensive apartments.
He was later convicted of indecent exposure and profanity, acquitted on the other charges, sentenced to jail and fines.
What would profanity be in this situation? I assume it's not just cursing, but if it's different from indecent exposure, like what?
Well, one story I read was that he was antagonizing the crowd, antagonizing the police that were there to keep everything in line. There was no barrier between the band and the audience. Oh, I got it right here. The Doors played the Dinner Key Auditorium in Miami. Morrison arrived intoxicated. The venue was overcrowded. There was no physical barrier between the band and the audience. Morrison taunted the crowd and police, used profanity, and encouraged disorder.
Okay.
Some witnesses claimed he exposed himself on stage, though this was never conclusively proven and no photographs exist.
I would imagine that means it didn't happen if it's not conclusively proven. How many people were at that show?
Are you saying pics or it didn't happen?
I am, actually, yeah.
So I would assume in this context, profanity would probably be things aimed towards the police officers that were there.
Okay.
Security. I think you can probably get away with anything towards them being framed as profane.
Yeah.
Whether it is actual curse words or not.
Fair enough.
It was a highly publicized trial in 1970. He was acquitted of, as I said before, he was acquitted of the indecent exposure and lewd behavior, but convicted of profanity and public drunkenness. Sentenced to 6 months in jail and a $500 fine, though he was free on bond while appealing the conviction.
Mhm.
And while he was waiting on that appeal, he did something that you are not supposed to do while you're on bond and moved to Paris. While in Paris on July 3rd, 1971.
Mhm.
And if you'll remember, do you remember 2 years prior what happened on that exact day
No.
when Brian Jones was found face down in his pool? Jim Morrison was found dead in his bathtub in Paris, officially attributed to heart failure, but a lot of drugs in the system, so it was heart failure due to rampant drug use. So he never faced any jail time. I don't even know if he paid the $500 fine because he was in the middle of appealing it. But there's a silver lining to this story. In 2010, Florida Governor Charlie Crist posthumously pardoned Morrison for the Miami convictions.
Wouldn't the statute of limitations have super passed since then? It had been already 40 years.
Yeah, but then, these are layup political points.
I mean, I guess.
Hey, you love the Doors? Well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to pardon this dead man from ever having to be punished.
Imagine if
Protect
you
the
went the other
legacy
way.
of this dead man.
Double down. It was offensive what happened here.
Oh, if he ever comes back, I swear he's going to double prison. He's going to pay $1,000 fine. But I mean, throughout his life, he caught the ire of the local law enforcement. He was always up to something. Bunch of disorderly conduct on stage. He was actually arrested multiple times for that. Public drunkenness, disruptive behavior. He had an incident in 1969 with a flight attendant where he was charged with assault and public drunkenness on a flight. He got charged with contempt of court. And this one, he did actually get hauled away for a little bit because he was mocking the judge during a court appearance.
That
And
is some Jim Morrison experience kind of ego.
Just a whole list of bad decisions and not the best posturing for your band. And I think that's probably why Led Zeppelin, because I mean, again, they're completely interchangeable for me. I know their sounds different, but if you just say Led Zeppelin and the Doors, it's just potato. But Led Zeppelin had a lot more staying power because they didn't have this nonsense going on in the background their entire run.
Sure. I don't know that I know any of the individual members of Led Zeppelin, so I think that's probably none of them had that. I think John Paul Jones is from Led Zeppelin, but I don't know anything that any of them have done individually.
Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, John Bonham, John Paul Jones. If I had heard the names, then I would be like, oh yeah, Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
But just pulling it out of my keister, I wouldn't be able to get it. All right. You ready to move on to one that saddens me the most?
Let's hear it. It's Amy Winehouse, Anton Yelchin.
No. It is Sir Kurt Cobain. What is your experience with Nirvana?
As
you
a
discovered your
concept or as a
Nirvana?
band?
Do
As
you
a
feel
concept, I have
Nirvana?
no experience with Nirvana. As a band, I have listened to a great deal of Nirvana. I also learned how to play it. Not really, but on Rock Band, Guitar Hero.
Is that my doing, or would you have discovered it on your own, or did I just accelerate it?
I think the last one. I think in part some of my experience with not necessarily just Nirvana, but rock music in general started out with the games Rock Band and Guitar Hero. And then I actually started listening to a lot of that stuff outside of the context of those games. I do think though that your influence with Nirvana was definitely a factor there.
I went through a huge Nirvana phase. So much so that I had a gigantic Kurt Cobain poster in my bedroom growing up.
Yeah.
It was later lost to time. And then 3 years ago for Christmas, Emily found me an exact copy of that poster. And it is back on my bedroom wall.
Is this the Willy Wonka poster?
Yeah, it's the one where he looks like the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka. Yeah,
I like those steampunk goggles. He looks pretty silly in them.
Oh, but no, I love Nirvana. I don't know if you can call Nirvana comforting, but it's very nostalgic for me.
Yeah,
just listening to the music and then remembering back to when I first heard it or when I was really heavy into Nirvana. and just all the experiences I had then. And it also helps that I'm a fan of conspiracy theories. Doesn't mean I
Okay.
believe all of them, but I do think that some people that come up with these conspiracy theories do make some decent points. And if you know anything about Kurt Cobain, just a passing knowledge of him, you know that his death in 1994 was suspicious,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Why was it suspicious?
Yeah. Well, for one, he was at the top of his game. Like he was, and I mean that may be a mark in the column of making it more believable
Mhm.
because like the pressure was at its peak at that point.
Yeah.
But also he was with Courtney Love, who is an interesting human being. She has had her own issues with drugs and alcohol, but she's still around to tell the ever changing tale. And a lot of the circumstances surrounding his death and how he was found, where he was found, when he was found, what was around him, is just it's been called into question a lot. Do I think that there is a conspiracy? Probably not. Would it be, could I be persuaded if enough evidence came forward that there was a conspiracy thing? Yeah, probably. I
Okay.
would entertain it.
Sure.
But he was born in Aberdeen, Washington, which, as far as I know, is a suburb of Seattle. And of course, like everyone else on this list, had a troubled childhood. Parents split when he was young, and that they had a huge influence on who he became. One of the founding-ish members of the grunge scene out of Seattle. Same kind of stuff that brought you Stone Temple Pilots. Why am I blanking, man? We just talked about him. Chris Cornell.
Soundgarden?
What's the sound? Good Lord.
Pearl
Soundgarden,
Jam?
Pearl Jam, all those bands that came out of Seattle. He was Nirvana and Kurt Cobain were like the found recognized as like the founders of that scene.
Yeah.
1991, Nevermind came out. I'm sure if you don't know anything about the album, you know about the album cover with the baby in the pool with the dollar on the, or trying to catch the dollar that's floating in front of him. Did you know that that baby grew up to be a man and tried to sue the estate
For putting his
for putting his wee
full,
wee
yeah.
on the cover without his consent?
I mean, I would imagine they got consent from his parents.
Uh-huh.
So
I would love to have that. For that to be my legacy. My little baby wiener on one of the most famous albums of all time. But what propelled Nevermind to be the powerhouse that it was the song Smells Like Teen Spirit, which was not expected to be the powerhouse that it was. The title comes from a brand of girls' deodorant. Did you know that?
yeah, I did. I used to use Teen Spirit once upon a time.
Oh, the dollar is on a hook. I couldn't remember if it was just floating or if it was on a hook.
Yeah.
But no, looking at this, the baby's penis is very prominent on this album cover. Been a while since I had seen this cover.
I mean, it's not like this dude had to claim that it was him. Either you're
I
proud
know.
that you're on the Nirvana cover, or
Or
you
just
can
like, hey,
just not
that's weird.
claim that.
Why is that baby's wiener on there? I have no clue who that is. I swear it got bigger. Anyways, this album, Nevermind, has Smells Like Teen Spirit, In Bloom, which was a big rock band song.
Yeah.
Come As You Are, Lithium, Polly, which I don't know if that's just a me thing or if that's a song that other people know. But I mean, just those first and Breed, those first 6 songs were huge.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that they were prepared for that level of stardom that fast.
Sure, yeah.
Because it was Kurt, it was Chris Novoselic, and it was Dave Grohl. I'm having a rough go at it today. Do you think that how do you think Kurt would feel about the Foo Fighters today?
I mean, I don't know a ton about their relationships, I guess, whenever Kurt was still around, but it does. I think the Foo Fighters is a logical extension of Nirvana without Kurt. Like, I think Dave Grohl maintained a lot of that same energy as Nirvana had, just a little less sad.
And more intelligible lyrics.
Yeah.
We saw Weird Al last year over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And he did
Still
Smells Like Nirvana.
Yeah.
And he's gone back around. So
I know he's going to be in Austin in August, I believe, next year.
So I'd go again.
I'll definitely be going this time.
I go. And Emily did not know that he dressed up as Kurt Cobain from the music video. And that is her favorite part from that concert was when he did Smells Like Nirvana.
Okay.
Kurt was a big fan of Alfred's version of his song. Because I don't know if you know this. You probably know this, but other people probably don't. That in order for Weird Al to do a parody, he doesn't have to have the permission of the artist.
Yeah.
But as a courtesy, as a professional courtesy, he makes sure that he gets their approval before he moves forward on anything. And he reached out to Kurt and told him about his idea for Smells Like Nirvana, and he loved it.
I don't think he's been turned down for too many things. I do know that he was turned down by Michael Jackson for, I think it was Man in the Mirror, because the song was too serious to be parodied. There was one more. I think Prince maybe said no.
No, it was. I don't think it was Man in the Mirror. I think it was Black or White.
Black or White, yeah.
And he was going to do Snack
Another
All Night.
food song, yeah.
Yeah. And then he had reservations about it because he didn't want to keep doing food songs. And Michael had reservations about it because he said it was such a serious subject matter that he didn't want that tarnished.
Yeah.
But he still does, or he did at the time, he would do live versions of Snack All Night. And you can get some very choppy VHS level recordings of him doing Snack All Night.
I do think it's very funny that Weird Al made essentially like several albums worth of children's entertainment. Because if you think about it, he's not that distinct from the Wiggles. But the fact that he has a song called Eat It, he's got another one, Rides the Bus.
That's
I Love Rocky Road.
Those two are our favorites in our house.
Eat It and another one Rides the Bus.
Another one Rides the Bus and I Love Rocky Road.
It's not one of my favorites of his. I don't think any of my favorites are his food ones.
If you've seen Weird the Al Yankovic Story.
I have. Fantastic movie.
Whenever little Alfred tells his dad that he wants to make music, but not make his own music. He wants to take popular music and change the lyrics. And his dad asks him for an example of what he's talking about, and he just goes into Amazing Grace, how sweet the juice. And that gets a lot of play at our house too.
Yeah. I know this is it's a heavier episode, but if you haven't seen Weird the Al Yankovic Story, It's on Roku TV, and it is worth the free trial.
Or just buy it. It's worth buying.
It's worth buying.
I bought it. I own it. I'm the owner of Weird the Al Yankovic Story, starring Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah.
And an unbelievable amount of cameos.
Wow. This is the first time I've seen Dimitri Martin in years.
Evan Rachel Wood as Madonna.
Rainn Wilson as Dr. Demento.
Rainn Wilson, yeah. It's beautiful. And one of my favorite biopics.
Yeah.
Biopics. We saw the man come on. Anywhoozle, Nevermind was followed up by In Utero. In Utero, if you'll recall, has the song Heart Shaped Box, which was a biggie. All Apologies, another big one. Dumb, a classic. And also Grape Me, which is a song that I like to play when I feel like I'm in a group of people that are kind of like zoned out,
Sure.
and just see how long it takes for them to notice. I used to do the same thing in the car with Mother. I remember distinctly one time she was taking me and two friends to Six Flags.
Yeah.
And I had a burnt CD and played Crazy Bitch until she caught on to what was playing. And
Little Buck Cherry.
to all of our surprise, never once caught on to what was going into her ear holes. And I was, I don't know, 13, 14 at the time.
Yeah.
So I should not have been listening to such filth. But hey, what I do? Well, the adults don't care. Why should I care, you know?
Sure. This
Yeah.
is one of those instances of just let kids be kids.
Important moments. I think one of the most remembered moments was Nirvana on MTV Unplugged.
Is that the Bananas?
What?
There was a performance where they weren't allowed to actually like play because they wanted it to be this like polished sound. And so like Kurt Cobain is singing into a banana half the time. Or he's not actually playing the guitar. He's just like every third beat he'll just strum nothing.
No, that was either like SNL or like a late night appearance.
It was BBC Live.
Yeah, that wasn't Unplugged. Unplugged, you can get the whole album on anywhere you stream your music.
Yeah.
And it's acoustic versions of all their songs, and it is
Okay.
fantastic. That's I mean, I say that that's one thing that I will miss about MTV, but that hasn't been what MTV has been about in like, I don't know, 15 years. So
It's been a decade of ridiculousness.
yeah. So I guess 15 years ago, I should have said, I'll miss this part of MTV.
Yeah.
But
Can't
old
relate.
Curdy boy was found in a greenhouse above his garage, I believe, at his home in Seattle. He had just escaped from rehab by literally jumping over the wall. He had a shotgun near him. He had a box that contained all of his heroin supplies. And he had a note next to him that pretty much just kind of alluded, but then kind of not. And then it takes a turn halfway through to where it looks like it's the beginning of it is your standard note that
Right.
you would find in such a situation. But then the second half looks like it is done by someone else's hand and doesn't really match the first part. So that was one of the big things that drove the conspiracy theories that, hey, something happened.
Hmm.
There were levels of heroin so high in his system that it should have incapacitated him. Again, I mean, he had a huge tolerance
Yeah.
to it. So what would have incapacitated him probably would have killed somebody else.
Right.
That's another point that conspiracy theorists like to point to. There were no fingerprints found on the gun, the shells, or the pen that was used to write the letter, which was right next to the letter.
Interesting.
The investigators that opened it up, because I mean, it was a cold case. I still don't think that they've officially closed the case as of now. But what the investigator that was going back over it said, actually, that's pretty standard. You don't find fingerprints on that kind of stuff, which I think is, I don't
What?
know if I believe that,
That doesn't make any sense.
especially on the pen. And he wasn't found with gloves or anything on.
I would understand the pen not having fingerprints a lot more than the gun. Like, theoretically, you could have wiped the pen off. I don't think you get to have a moment to wipe off the gun.
Not with a shotgun. That was another detail that people were suspicious about, was the fact that he used a shotgun.
Which
And it was
logistically,
a long barrel shotgun. He was sitting cross-legged on the floor. So just the way it was all displayed was very suspicious. And that's why I am not fully convinced that what the official story is what actually happened.
Hmm.
And then there's everything with Courtney Love, his wife, mother to their daughter, Frances Bean Cobain. Just her going off the rails. The suspected motive was that if this is all alleged, this is the alleged motive, is that eventually the drugs were going to kill him anyways. If he died on top, that would be more profitable for the estate moving forward than if there had been a decline and then he died.
interesting.
Fellow bandmates Chris Novoselic and Dave Grohl have just tried to put this behind them. Courtney Love brings it up a lot. It's
That is-
kind of the only thing that she is known for anymore. She had her own band, Hole, which is a swing
I didn't know she was
for a
a.
band.
I didn't know she was a part of that.
You know, she was part of Hole.
Didn't know she was a part of Hole.
But again, what she's known for is not her own stuff. It's Kurt Cobain and being tied to this suspicious, quote unquote, suspicious suicide. But I have one more piece of Kurt Cobain lore
Okay,
that may flip everything on its head.
what you got?
Eldon Hoke, who was a fellow Seattle musician, claimed in a documentary called Court and Courtney. Good Lord.
Court and Courtney.
I'm having a rough go, guys. Kurt and Courtney, that Courtney Love offered him money to kill Kurt.
Okay.
He passed a lie detector test, but most still doubted his story. 8 days after he filmed this
Mhm.
for the documentary, saying that Courtney Love tried to hire him as a hitman to take out Kurt, he was found without his head on some train tracks.
Oh my God.
Coincidence? Yes, most likely
Right.
coincidence. He had an extremely high blood alcohol content
Lord.
in his blood. He tried to race a freight train going 60 miles per hour, and his death was ruled as misadventure. And he got hit so hard that his head literally just was removed. It was unburdened by the rest of his body.
I know this isn't the point of that story, but I didn't know that your death could be ruled misadventure, and I know how I want to go out now.
By misadventure?
I want to go out by misadventure. I don't know what that entails, but that's how I would like to go.
All right. Last one. Number 6. Just most recent, not most impactful. Amy Winehouse. I feel like you probably know more about her than I do.
I don't know a ton about Amy Winehouse. I've listened to her music a good amount. I love her voice. The I think notable thing about her legacy was how much her father specifically has been trying to milk her story for all it's worth. It feels like the older version of like the child stars, where the adult is just trying to like doesn't really care what abuse is being done to their children. It's just for the sake of them making money. The most recent biopic they did for her was at
Wasn't
best pretty disappointing.
wasn't it like real exploitative?
It was really exploitative, and they picked someone who couldn't match her voice, which is the whole thing for Amy Winehouse was that she had this incredibly distinctive voice. And it's just it misses the mark so much on so many different fronts that you can tell, especially because this is like the third biopic they've made for her. And she only at the end of the day made it to 27 years old. You can only live so much in that time. You don't have 3 movies worth of story to tell. But yeah, no, it's
Who came first, Amy Winehouse or Kat Von D
Winehouse,
with the sharp cat eyes?
the giant eyeliner.
Yeah, her debut album Frank, which I thought was maybe her dad's name, but it is not, because her dad's name is Mitchell Winehouse, mother Janice Winehouse. So he's a taxi driver, mother's a pharmacist. So you think that had anything to do with her proclivities? Her mother being a pharmacist?
I could very much see that.
She rose to global fame in 2006 with Back to Black,
Great song.
featuring, ironically, the song Rehab and You Know I'm No Good.
Yeah.
She earned multiple Grammy Awards, but had a hard time dealing with the music industry and the fame and the everything that came with all the success that she was having.
Yeah.
She was constantly on the tabloids, like looking strung out. They just picked the worst picture
Yeah.
possible of her and use as a story to run with it. That's got to take a huge toll on your psyche and just on your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
It was
She's quoted at one point as saying, "If I could go back and do it again, if I had the ability to, I think, walk down the street without being hassled, I wouldn't, or I would take it."
if I
She would like
could,
it.
I would give it back just to walk down the street with no hassle.
Yeah.
Were the last words that she said to her bodyguard.
Which is probably a bigger conversation about what we see celebrity as.
Yeah.
How much they truly cease to be people.
Yeah. I mean, it's a trade-off. You have to be able to weather that, and a lot of people can't. A lot of people can eventually,
Yeah.
but you have to be able to weather that till you get to that point to where you can handle those kind of things and that kind of notoriety, popularity, whatever you call it.
It is pretty sickening, though, that we live in a society where we can create those kind of parasocial relationships, where we create these unhealthy attachments to people who don't know that we exist.
Yeah.
Because why would they?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the room with famous people before. I've met famous people. I don't get starstruck. Like I can go up to someone and say, "Hey, I appreciate what you do," but I'm not pissing my pants over it
Right. Yeah.
and like freaking out and like trying to sneak pictures and all this other stuff. I met Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And
I think that should be the end of that story.
why? Why can't you let me have this?
Fine. Go ahead.
I can fanboy out post meeting, but like whenever I met her, it wasn't a big thing. I mean, she definitely wasn't what she is now. She was big on country radio.
Yeah.
She hadn't made the turn yet, and I was just like, "Hey, I like music," and we took a picture, and I will ride that picture until the day I die.
Sure. Do you think that
Uh,
contributes to your current relationship?
without doubt, without doubt, it's a big. I use that picture with Taylor Swift like Courtney Love uses dredging up all the Kurt Cobain stuff.
It's to keep you relevant.
Yeah, and it's just it's something easy to talk about. It gets my foot in the door.
I think one of those shouldn't be easy to talk about, but sure.
I mean, she loves talking about it. It's like it's dating catnip. Is what it is. I just I throw it out there and say, yeah, I met Taylor Swift, and like 99% of the work is already done.
Huh.
So here's a lesson to you fellas out there: go get yourself a picture with Taylor Swift. Much harder to do now.
Much harder to come by, yeah.
Or just find the next Taylor Swift, get a picture while they're still accessible, and then ride that into Valhalla.
It's what, Olivia Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter?
No, Sabrina Carpenter's too big now. It's got to be
Babada Boopy.
yeah, Bebop Boom. Oh, I saw her at the Eras tour, and I still don't know what the band's name is.
Baba Doobie, I think.
It could be, or it could be Bebop Boom. I don't know. Anyways, a couple days prior to her death, a doctor comes to her house. We're back on Amy now, enough Taylor Swift talk. To check on her, since she was well into her mental and physical decline. When he left, he had no concerns for her. He said that she was in high spirits, all of her vitals seemed fine, and that she just needed to continue resting until they could start transitioning her into a more healthy lifestyle. But after the doctor left, a little while later, she called the doctor again and admitted to the codependency that she had with substances and told him, I don't want to die. 24 hours later, she would no longer be with us. Her bodyguard was there to keep an eye on things. This is when they had the conversation of her. The last thing she said to him was, if I could, I would give it back just to walk down the street with no hassle. He said she was laughing and listening to music at 2 a.m. the day that she died. The bodyguard checked in on her later that day around 10 a.m. and tried to get her up, but she didn't respond, which wasn't unusual for her because she slept in real late and she was up until 2 a.m. listening to music. And he came back around 3 p.m. and noticed that she was in the same exact position that she had been at 10 a.m. He calls the emergency services. They come and they pronounced her dead at 3:54 p.m. So I think that this one most exemplifies that episode in South Park where Brittany takes half of her head off and then they still parade her around and want to make sure they get every shot of her and document the further decline. I don't know if it's because I was pop culturally conscious for every part of this because, I mean, Kurt Cobain lived for 2 years of my life before he was gone.
Right.
Everyone else died well before I was born. So I think that has something to do with this one being a more impactful death on this list. And just the like ghoulish irony that her biggest song was They Told Me to Go to Rehab and I said no, no, no.
It is a very hard listen in the context of what we've seen since 2011 for sure.
She was officially listed as dying by alcohol poisoning.
I think Amy Winehouse's death was also fairly impactful for me. Not because I had been at that point like incredibly into her music necessarily, but it was an interesting wake up call into kind of how we see tabloids, media coverage and things, because it had come more or less on the heels of the South Park episode that you were talking about, the Britney Spears quote unquote meltdown where she cut all of her hair off.
Yeah.
And it's so it's the same thing we were talking about just a minute ago, that like it's so sickening kind of what we've decided is acceptable for these celebrities just because they are good at a thing we believe we have access to every bit of their lives. I think a lot of people it's not to dismiss the substance abuse issues that any of these artists have, but there's accountability in a lot of places, I think.
Yeah. And real quick, I already mentioned Robert Johnson as not technically can't be certified part of the 27 Club, but this one is the second uh, addition I had to that list is Richie Edwards. He was a lyricist and rhythm guitarist for the Manic Street Preachers. You know anything about them? Anything about him? Couple songs. I don't know if that's anything that you would have any knowledge of, but he vanished at 27. So
Vanished?
he has no confirmed death. All signs point to he did die at 27, but it can't be confirmed because his body was never recovered.
Oh.
He was last seen on February 1st of 1995, checked out of a hotel in London. He was supposed to meet a bandmate for a U.S. promotion for Manic Street Preachers. And he didn't show up. His car was later found parked by a bridge in the area that was known to be a big suicide location. His bank account had small withdrawals before and after his disappearance, but there's never been any confirmed sightings of him, no physical evidence, and no remains. His lyrics were heavy into ideation and references to disappearing. And the river that runs under the bridge that his car was found at, the Severn River, is tidal and violent, and bodies that go into that are rarely recovered. A lot of people chalk up the withdrawals as just delays from banking in 1995. So those can't really be used as proof that he just decided to up and leave his life.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, there are people that have tried to leave an old life behind and start a new one, but there have never been any sightings or anything from this guy after February 1st, 1995. And honorable mentions that are in the 27 Club, but just weren't popular, I guess, enough to be part of the main group. Kristen Pfaff was a bassist for, you want to guess which band? Hole. Died of a heroin overdose in June of 1994. Kurt died in April. Kristen died in June. Same cause of death. Well, his wasn't. His was heroin induced. But yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, not allegedly. It's allegedly interesting.
I mean, I think it's certifiably interesting. Reasons why it might be interesting are alleged.
Yes. Rudy Lewis of the Drifters. Do you know the Drifters?
I do not.
Do you know the song This Magic Moment?
Yes.
Do you know the song Under the Boardwalk?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Guess I do know who the Drifters are.
Both Drifters songs. He wasn't around for this magic moment. He died on the day that they were to record Under the Boardwalk.
Huh.
He was found in a hotel, and his official cause of death was a heart attack brought on by drug use. 27 years old. What about Louis Chauvin?
Nope.
He was a ragtime composer. He was a contemporary of Scott Joplin. You know
Okay.
Scott Joplin.
I do.
And he died at 27 due to complications from syphilis.
Huh.
And that, my friends, is all I have for you on the 27 Club.
I mean, yeah, the only other additions that I have, aside from the ones that you mentioned, are non-musical, which is Jean-Michel Basquiat and Anton Yelchin. Anton Yelchin, I think it's I don't know that he gets considered, and I don't know if he gets kind of overlooked in the sense that like he's not a musician, or in the case of he wasn't kind of like the last couple that you mentioned, he wasn't necessarily a household name at the time. He wasn't quite big enough for him to have that kind of like shocked the industry legacy when he died.
Yeah.
It was incredibly sad, but I don't think it had the same pull. Plus his didn't have the same kind of circumstances that the rest of them had. This wasn't it was technically self-inflicted, but I don't think it was self-inflicted.
I think it was just accidental circumstances.
Yeah. But I think Jean-Michel Basquiat, I think he also OD'd, if I remember correctly. Heroin overdose.
Takes a lot of them.
That's what gets a lot of them, yeah.
Well, what do you have to take away from this episode?
I don't know that there's a ton to take away from this episode. I am less than a week away from my 27th birthday. And I think in getting to be near the age that all of these artists were when they passed, it kind of makes sense from a mental standpoint. Like I said earlier, I think that if you kind of reach this level of success, and this is obviously purely speculative, if you reach this level of success while your brain is still in the like final stages of solidifying itself, then it makes a lot of sense for it to just kind of like to some extent cave in on itself once your actual prefrontal cortex is formed.
Yeah, that is correct. I was in a rough place when I was 27. Luckily, I made it to 28 and beyond. But it's you just got to keep forward gaze.
Yeah, 2026 was a rough year. I don't know what 27 is going to bring, but
And drugs are bad. Okay.
That's a good takeaway too.
And also, if you find yourself struggling, you can reach out to the suicide hotline. You can call, text. I know if you're calling, it's 988. If you're texting, it's 988. Or you can chat on the official 988lifeline.org website. Don't come up with a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
That is a good takeaway.
And with that, we'll see you.
See ya.